Hello, I'm Emma. My life took an unexpected turn when I married Henry, a wonderful man who was raising his daughter, Madison, on his own. Madison was only 8 years old when I joined their family, stepping into the shoes left empty since her mother departed when she was a toddler. I entered their lives with hopes of adding love and stability, but things didn't exactly unfold as I'd envisioned. The first time I met Madison, I tried to warm up to her by offering some chocolate chip cookies, hoping to sweeten our introduction. "Hi, Madison, I've heard so much about you. Do you like chocolate chip cookies?" I asked, extending a plate toward her. She glanced at the cookies, then at me, her expression unreadable. "I guess," she replied quietly, taking a cookie but avoiding eye contact. Henry, with a sympathetic smile, whispered to me, "She's a bit shy around new people. Just give it some time, Emma." I was determined to be patient and empathetic, understanding the upheaval she must have felt, but it wasn't long before I realized her reserve was more than just shyness. Our family dynamics grew even more strained with the arrival of our son, Liam. Madison seemed to view him as an intruder, threatening her bond with her father. One night, I found Liam crying in his room. "What's wrong, sweetheart?" I asked with concern. Through sobs, he told me Madison had called him a mistake and said that Daddy didn't love him. My heart sank. I confronted Madison, who fiercely retorted, "He's not my brother and you're not my mom." Henry tried to mediate, reminding Madison that I was trying to be a good mother to both of them, but it often felt like navigating a minefield. Any attempt at bonding was met with resistance or outright hostility, not just from Madison but occasionally from Henry's parents as well. I recall a Sunday dinner when Henry's mother pulled me aside and advised, "Emma, you need to try harder with Madison. She feels left out since Liam was born." It was frustrating. Despite my efforts, she seemed determined to keep me at arm's length. Henry's father added, "She's just a child, Emma. You're the adult. You need to make more of an effort." It felt like a no-win situation. Despite my best efforts, nothing seemed to work. Madison had erected a wall around herself, and I couldn't seem to breach it. As she entered her teenage years, Madison's behavior only grew more challenging. She would flout rules and talk back, and her hostility towards me intensified. It felt like every conversation could lead to an explosion. I remember one morning trying to discuss her absenteeism from school. "Madison, why weren't you in school yesterday?" I asked, attempting to maintain a calm demeanor. She just shrugged, pouring herself a bowl of cereal, and muttered, "Didn't feel like going." Despite these challenges, I wasn't ready to give up. I held on to hope that someday, somehow, we might find a way to come together as a real family, navigating through the minefield of Madison's teenage years with the hope of emerging on the other side as a united front. My life transformed dramatically when I married Henry, a kind-hearted widower with a young daughter named Madison. At 8 years old, Madison had already faced the significant loss of her mother, who left when she was just a toddler. With hopes of bringing stability and love, I entered their lives, but the reality proved more challenging than anticipated. The first time I met Madison, I attempted to make a warm introduction by offering her chocolate chip cookies. "Hi, Madison, I've heard so much about you. Would you like some cookies?" I asked, presenting her with a plate. She looked at the cookies and then back at me with an unreadable expression, murmuring, "I guess," before taking a cookie without making eye contact. Henry, with an understanding smile, whispered to me, "She's usually shy around new people. It might take a little time." My intentions were clear. I wanted to be there for her, to care and create a bond. However, Madison's initial shyness soon revealed itself as something deeper. The situation became even more complicated with the birth of our son, Liam. Madison saw him as an intruder, competing for her father's attention. One distressing evening, I found Liam crying in his bedroom. Concerned, I asked, "What's wrong, Liam?" Between sobs, he shared that Madison had told him he was a mistake and that his father didn't love him. Heartbroken, I confronted Madison. "Why would you say that to Liam?" "He's your little brother," I said, hoping to appeal to her sense of family. But her response was cutting. "He's not my brother and you're not my mom." Henry tried to help us navigate these troubled waters, constantly reinforcing that I was trying to be a supportive figure in her life. However, every effort to connect with Madison was met with resistance or outright hostility. This wasn't just confined to our home. Henry's parents also expressed their concerns. "Emma, you need to make more of an effort with Madison, especially now that Liam is here," Henry's mother advised during one family dinner, suggesting I wasn't doing enough to include Madison. As the years passed, Madison's teenage rebellion only intensified. Simple conversations would often escalate into arguments. One morning, when I noticed she had skipped school, I asked calmly, "Madison, why weren't you at school yesterday?" Her response was dismissive, didn't feel like going, as she nonchalantly prepared her breakfast. Despite these setbacks, my resolve to make things work never wavered. One particularly trying evening, when Madison's coldness had particularly stung, Henry attempted another heart-to-heart with her. "Madison, Emma cares about you. She's trying to help," he said earnestly. But Madison's response remained bitter. "She's not my mom, Dad. Stop trying to make her something she's not." The challenges extended beyond just our immediate family. During gatherings, Henry's mother would often pull me aside to critique my approach, urging me to be more understanding, while his father would remind me, "She's just a child. You need to keep trying." Caught in the emotional crossfire, young Liam once asked in confusion, "Why does Madison hate us, moms?" I held him close, shielding him from the truth as best as I could. "She doesn't hate us, honey. She's just struggling to adjust," I reassured him, though I doubted my own words. Madison's behavior became increasingly personal and targeted, and I often found myself wondering if I was the reason for the discord. Many sleepless nights were spent pondering what more I could do and how I could reach out to her in a way I hadn't yet tried. Then, one day, the situation escalated when I received a call from the local police station. "Mrs. Michael, this is Officer Grayson. We've detained Madison for vandalism," the officer informed me. Shocked and embarrassed, I rushed to the station, where I found Madison sitting defiantly. The reality of our strained relationship was clearer than ever as I approached her, realizing the depth of the challenges we still faced. As I neared her, she lifted her head, her face etched with annoyance rather than any hint of guilt. "Madison, what were you thinking?" I tried to maintain a calm tone, but her reaction only heightened my worry. With an eye roll and a voice dripping with sarcasm, Madison retorted, "Oh, relax, Emma. It's not like I killed someone. We just sprayed some paint, no big deal." I was astounded. "Not a big deal, Madison. This is illegal. You could be in serious trouble." Standing up, Madison snorted dismissively. "Well, I'm not. Can we go now? This place is so depressing." The ride home was shrouded in tense silence. Alone, with Henry away on business, I felt the weight of handling this crisis. Later that evening, with Liam asleep, I phoned Henry, my voice trembling. "We have a serious problem with Madison," I confessed. "I know, Emma," Henry replied, his voice weary. "The school has already called me a few times. What's happened now?" "She was detained by the police today, Henry, for vandalism," I explained, the gravity of the situation thick in the air. There was a heavy pause. "Emma, I don't even know what to say. We need to get her help, therapy, counseling, something. She's spiraling out of control," I insisted, desperation seeping into my voice. Henry sighed, his tone laden with defeat. "Okay, I'll be back in 3 days. We'll sort this out." Hanging up, I felt a flicker of relief, but mostly dreaded the challenging discussions ahead. When Henry finally confronted Madison about therapy, her reaction was explosive. "I'm not going to any shrink," she snapped, her eyes fiery. "You can't make me." Henry, trying to keep his composure, responded, "It's not about making you, Madison. It's about helping you." Madison scoffed loudly. "Help me? Please. You just want to dump me on someone else because you can't deal with me." "That's not true, Madison, and you know it. We're worried about you," Henry replied, patience thinning. Abruptly standing, Madison pushed her chair back noisily. "Save it, Dad. I'm not your little project. I'm out of here." With that, she stormed out, the door slamming behind her. She fled to her grandparents' house, refusing to come home or speak to us. Henry and I were left in shock and helplessness, our family seemingly unraveling. At the heart of it was Madison, a teenage girl we felt we were losing, no matter our efforts. The day she rejected our rules entirely and left for her grandparents, our home felt desolately empty. Sitting with Henry, the silence heavy around us, he kept checking his phone. "I just can't believe she'd just leave like this," he expressed, a mix of frustration and disbelief in his voice. Exhaling deeply, I felt a whirlwind of emotions brewing. "Henry, she's out of control. We can't let her walk all over us. It's not right." Henry looked defeated. "I know, Emma. I know. But what can we do? She just isn't listening." Determined, we decided to call Henry's parents. However, the conversation quickly soured. "Mom, this is Henry. We need to talk about Madison," he began, striving for calm. His mother quickly jumped to Madison's defense. "Oh, Henry, she's just so distraught. She feels like Emma's pushing her away, trying to send her to a therapist like she's some sort of problem," she explained. I couldn't stay silent. "That's not it at all. She's been getting into trouble, and we're truly worried about her." The conversation was tense, a reflection of the strained relations and the difficult path ahead in reaching Madison and mending our family. I sighed as I watched my patience unravel. Henry's father interjected with a tone edged in frustration. "Emma, you just don't understand her. She's sensitive, and you've been quite stern with her." I felt my temper rise. "Too stern? She's been rebelling, breaking rules. We're merely trying to steer her right." "Well, she's with us now. We'll handle it our way," Henry's mother countered dismissively. Henry and I shared a glance filled with frustration and helplessness. "You're just going to let her skip school and associate with questionable influences?" Henry questioned, his voice escalating with concern. "She's just navigating a phase. She'll settle," his father replied dismissively, downplaying Madison's troubling behavior. After the call, our sense of helplessness deepened. It seemed as if Madison had everyone wrapped around her finger, while we appeared as villains for setting limits. In the days that followed, Madison's absence loomed large, her room collecting dust, a stark reminder of the growing divide within our family. Despite sending money to Henry's parents for Madison's upkeep, it felt futile, like casting funds into a void without seeing any positive changes, just a silent endorsement of her defiance. One evening, as I tucked our son Liam into bed, he looked up at me, his expression filled with bewilderment. "Mom, why did Madison leave? Doesn't she like us anymore?" I stroked his hair softly, my own emotions swelling. "Liam, it's complex. Madison's grappling with a lot right now, but remember, we love her, and we're here for her whenever she's ready." Exiting Liam's room, the weight of our fractured family hit me. We were divided, not by distance, but by defiance and misunderstandings, with Madison at the core, a girl I once hoped to embrace as my daughter, now a stranger under a different roof. For years, our home had been eerily serene without Madison's chaotic presence. Then, unexpectedly, she returned. Henry and I were in the kitchen when she entered, her demeanor confident, almost defiant. "Hey," she greeted nonchalantly as if her years of absence were mere days. "Madison, what are you doing here?" Henry asked, his face etched with surprise. "I've got news. I'm getting married," she announced, a smug smile curling her lips. Henry and I exchanged a look of shock mixed with cautious hope. "That's wonderful, Madison. Congratulations," I managed, though skepticism lingered. "Yeah, thanks. But here's the thing, I need money for the wedding," Madison stated bluntly, getting right to the point. Henry's face tightened. "Money, Madison? You vanished for years, and now you return just to ask for money?" Madison rolled her eyes. "Come on, Dad. It's not like you can't spare it. It's not much I'm asking for." The tension in the room spiked. "Madison, it's not merely about the money. You can't just reappear and expect us to just open our wallets," I interjected. "Emma," Madison snapped, cutting me off, her tone dismissive. I'm not asking for your opinion. I'm asking Dad for a favor. I was taken aback by her audacity. Madison, we're a family. We make these decisions together, I asserted firmly. She looked at Henry, her expression softening slightly.
Dad, please.
It's my wedding. I just want it to be perfect. Henry sighed, running his hand through his hair. We'll think about it, Madison. This interaction left us all wrestling with a mix of emotions, navigating the delicate balance between family ties and personal grievances. But you can't just expect us to hand over the money without discussing it first, I said, as Madison's demeanor shifted, perhaps realizing that her direct approach wasn't effective. I know, I'm sorry, she admitted, softening. I just really want my wedding to be special. After she left, Henry and I had a long, serious talk. Maybe this is a chance for us to mend things, I suggested, feeling a mix of hope and caution. Henry nodded, albeit slowly. Maybe, but we're not just giving her a blank check. We need to be involved in the planning to ensure the money is spent wisely. Despite Madison's upfront manner, I saw this as an opportunity to close the gap that had grown between us. Perhaps we could start afresh with her. Yet, as I lay in bed that night, a nagging unease took hold. Madison's sudden return and her request felt like the calm before another storm. As the wedding day approached and whirlwinds of preparation swept through, Henry and I decided to contribute generously to her wedding fund, hoping it would be a step toward repairing our strained relationship. However, a shocking turn of events occurred just days before the wedding. I called the wedding planner to check on the preparations. Hi, this is Emma Michael, Madison's stepmom. I'm just calling to check on the wedding preparations, I said, trying to sound casual. The wedding planner's voice was tense and hesitant. Oh, Mrs. Michael, yes, the preparations are going well, but what? I pressed, a knot forming in my stomach. There was a pause, and then she revealed, I'm not sure how to say this, but Madison has made some changes to the guest list. Changes to the guest list? What kind of changes? I asked, my voice struggling to remain steady. The planner's voice was low, almost apologetic. She's removed you, Mr. Michael, and Liam from the list and added her biological mother. I felt as if I'd been punched in the gut. Her mother? The one who left her? Yes, and there's something else, the planner continued, her voice hesitant. The budget for the wedding, it's significantly less than the amount you gave her. Stunned into silence, I confronted Henry with the news. His reaction was one of disbelief, then growing anger. That ungrateful, Henry started, his fists clenched. Henry, calm down, I urged, though I shared his outrage.
We need to talk to her about this.
When we finally got Madison on the phone, the conversation was far from pleasant. Madison, why did you remove us from the wedding guest list? Henry demanded, his voice tight with anger. Madison's response was cold and matter-of-fact. Because I don't want your wife there. This is my day, and I'll have who I want. And what about the money? I asked, struggling to keep my composure. You spent only a fraction of what we gave you. That's none of your business, she snapped back. You gave me the money. It's mine to use how I see fit. We were at a loss for words, reeling from the audacity of her actions. Henry, in a rare display of fury, made a decision. We're taking back our money, Madison. We won't support this deceit, he declared, his voice resolute. You can't do that, Madison yelled, her voice shrill with panic. We can and we will, Henry responded firmly, signaling an end to our tolerance for her manipulation. Henry's voice was firm as he addressed Madison. You've crossed a boundary. The call ended abruptly with Madison throwing a barrage of insults our way before she hung up. Standing by his principles, Henry stopped payment on the wedding checks, effectively derailing the planned nuptials. Despite our attempts to reconnect and heal the breach, Madison's behavior made it painfully evident that some divides were too vast to bridge. The repercussions of the aborted wedding swept through our family with devastating intensity. Madison's reaction was explosive and acrimonious. She appeared at our doorstep, her features twisted in fury, accusing us venomously. You've ruined everything, she exclaimed, her eyes aflame. This was supposed to be my special day, and you've shattered it. You were dishonest with us, Henry countered calmly, despite the mounting pressure. You misled us about the wedding details and the finances. What were you expecting? I expected you to step aside and let me have my day, she retorted, her hands clenched. You pushed us away from your wedding, Madison, and you appropriated the funds for yourself. I tried to explain. I earned that after enduring years with you. She snapped back, her words sharp as knives. The confrontation escalated until, overwhelmed by anger, Madison stormed out, swearing never to forgive us. After she left, Henry and I faced the daunting task of picking up the pieces. Matters worsened when we got a distressing call from Henry's parents, who initially blamed us for the wedding disaster. However, the conversation soon took an unexpected turn. Emma, Henry, there's something you need to know, Henry's mother revealed shakily over the phone. After Madison left, we discovered she had taken some of my jewelry, pieces of significant value. Henry was speechless at first, then managed to muster. She stole from you? His voice was tinged with disbelief. Yes, his father confirmed sadly. We never imagined she would do something like this. Will you report it? I inquired, my voice a mix of worry and astonishment. No, we can't bring ourselves to file a report against our granddaughter, but we're deeply hurt, his mother admitted, her voice faltering. The betrayal was difficult to digest. It was one thing for Madison to direct her anger toward us, but to deceive her grandparents was beyond comprehension. As the weeks passed without any communication from Madison, Henry held on to a sliver of hope that she might realize her errors and reach out. Yet I remained skeptical. Henry, do you genuinely believe she'll return after all this? I asked one quiet evening as we sat in our living room. Looking out the window with a distant gaze, Henry replied, I'm not sure, Emma. I hope she does. I hope she sees the wrongs she's done and seeks to amend them. I exhaled, weighed down by uncertainty. I'm not sure she ever will, Henry. It seems the Madison we once knew is long gone. Henry nodded solemnly, accepting the painful truth. Perhaps you're right. Despite everything, she remains my daughter, and I can't abandon hope. As time moved on, the silence from Madison settled into a new normal. We received no updates about her whereabouts or how she was faring. Henry's parents were also left out of the loop, their feelings of betrayal mixed with concern for their granddaughter's well-being. At home, life continued. Liam grew older, and we poured our energies into ensuring he felt loved and secure. However, the shadow of Madison's past actions still loomed over us, a constant reminder of the unresolved issues and emotional scars within our family. I often found myself reflecting on Madison, pondering where she might be and what she was doing. My emotions were tangled, a mix of anger, disappointment, and a faint trace of concern. Henry clung to hope, but deep down, I harbored doubts about whether Madison would ever come back to us or seek the help she so desperately needed. The uncertainty was challenging, but it didn't extinguish the faint spark of hope that someday she might realize her mistakes and make an effort to mend the strained bonds. As difficult as it was, we tried to focus on the present, supporting Liam and each other, while leaving a door open for Madison, should she ever choose to return.